All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Evolve and Elevate with Erica. We are so happy that you are here with us tonight. I am your host, Erica Bishop, and I have a special guest with me, Miss Alicia Johnson from the 1212 community. Before we get started, we hope that you saw our segment on last week from burnout to bliss. If you did not, please go to the Evolve and Elevate with Erica YouTube channel, and I am sure it will bless you. So we thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And you may ask, what do we do here? And what do we talk about here at Evolve and Elevate with Erica? Well, it's about three things: empowerment, self-discovery, and transformation. So we are going to talk about everything that deals with those things and all those places, and even some of the things that may be considered taboo that most people will not discuss. We're going to have that conversation. So we thank you. And as you're coming in, we ask that you please tag someone, let them know that we're here. Please subscribe and like the channel. We thank you again for being here with us tonight. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Alicia Johnson so she can introduce herself to you. Alicia?
Hello, hello, hello. I am Alicia Johnson, the creator of the 1212 community, and the 1212 community is dedicated to helping everyone who chooses to learn how to recalibrate their lives 12 hours for God and 12 hours for man so that you can live the life that God has intended for you. And we do that through journaling, we do that through workshops, we do that in a myriad of ways, but one of the main reasons we do it is so that people can understand how to live spirit first, mind second, and body third. And that's who I am and what I do. Uh-oh, we lost your
Mute.
can't
Yeah,
hear.
I was on mute. So thank you so much for that. So tonight, this particular topic had come out of our conversation last week. So, and that's usually how a lot of our topics kind of come about. As we're diving into a conversation, we want to make sure that we open it up a little bit more and dive into it a little bit more. So tonight we're going to talk about redeeming the time and understanding what does that mean. How is it? Because that conversation had come about as we were talking about missing miracles, and we engaged in a wonderful conversation of what does that really look like when we miss a miracle. So tonight we're going to get into talking about redeeming the time, and when God redeems the time for us, what does that look like so we don't miss that opportunity? Because if you're anything like me or anyone else, we've made some mistakes. We've done some things that were disobedient, that were out of order, that were not at the right time, something that we wanted to do because it made us feel good. We manifested something that was out of God's timing, and we gave it a blanket statement that it was our blessing, but it did not necessarily bring everything that it was supposed to, if we were really honest. So we're going to talk about what does it mean for your time to be redeemed, and
Mm,
what does that look like. So,
my
as
God.
we get into it, we always start with a question. And we're going to go back and reopen it up so that we can dive into this. Let's start back about what we were discussing last week about missing miracles. What is it to miss a miracle?
Mm-mm-mm-mm. So that's the question. What is it to miss a miracle?
Yes.
For me, God is so loving that I truly believe that God doesn't really let you know that you've missed the mirror, like what you've missed, like the magnitude of what you missed is not like a game show where you chose door number two, but the prize was behind door number one. God doesn't do that because that would crush us if we really knew exactly what we missed. But I truly believe that we are encoded with like a GPS system to know when we've missed the mark. Like we know when something is not the best for us. We know when is not fulfilling that, satiating that real need, because you're continuing to want to do more, you're continuing to go after more, you're never satisfied. So that's an indicator to me that you are missing the miracles in your life when you're consistently not satiated. You're never full, if you will. So I don't think God is like, oh, you missed it. It's just God keeps giving you that hunger
Hmm.
to keep striving for what it is that heaven has intended for you.
That's powerful. For me, I remember the gentleman who wrote the book, Prayer of Jabez. I can't pull his name
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
He also wrote a book called Fruits on the Vine. I think it's what it was called. And in this particular book, he talked about how he had a vision that he had gone to heaven. And this was when he was discussing about being obedient and what it is to sacrifice when you're disobedient. And he gave the analogy of he was getting his tour of heaven.
Mm.
So he veered off, being curious. He veered off to this very big door and went in this room. And in this room were were just wall, floor to ceiling, and they were all these presents. As far as he could look up, there were all these presents neatly wrapped on the wall from floor to ceiling.
Mm.
And he was warned, don't go in there. You're not supposed to go in there. He was like, well, what is it? He said, these were all the blessings that you were supposed to receive on earth. And
Mm.
I mean, just reading it, I put the book down. I was like, oh God, wait a minute. Cool. Because I believe that there are some times that when I think about obedience is better than sacrifice. That if I'm not in a bad situation, did I really sacrifice anything? Did I really miss anything? I still got the promotion, but I was disobedient by not doing X, Y, and Z. So did I miss something? Did I sacrifice anything? And to your point, I'm glad that God is gracious that He didn't tell me all the stuff that I have missed, because yes, my feelings would have really been hurt. And I'm so grateful that He has showed enough mercy to really allow the scripture to say it will work together for my good, so that I wouldn't be really upset and hurt in my feelings because, oh God, I really wanted that, but you did not do X, Y, and Z. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that part.
One of the things that you had mentioned, like in redeeming the time, like finding God's purpose in every moment,
Mm-hmm.
that is the key to redeeming the time, is like understanding that wherever heaven makes room for you, that is where you need to be. So
Wow.
many of us miss our purpose and miss the opportunity to feel like we're operating in our purpose because we have inserted ourselves in situations that we were never intended to be a part of. But when heaven places you where you need to be, your purpose is already established. You have a reason for being there. You have an assignment for being there. Like your purpose has been predestined when heaven places you in position.
So let's talk about the insertion part when we insert ourselves. What does that really look like? Because I think oftentimes we cloak it with I was helping.
Mm, mm. See, that's the We don't know enough to know what we need to do. We don't know enough of what we need to do. And I used to be that person. I used to be the biggest. This is the way that God started to work me through this process was when I became overwhelmed with everything and I didn't know which way to turn. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And God was like, you have inserted every place where you feel overwhelmed, you have inserted yourself. Because when heaven places you strategically because you have the skill set, you have the knowledge, you have the compassion, you have whatever is required for that position, for that assignment. The problem is that most people are just looking for money and they're
Mm,
looking for the fringe benefits. They're looking for quid pro quo. What's in it for me? They're looking for how is this going to elevate me? How is this going to advance me? But we're really here. My real assignment is to make life a little better for others. Whatever my contribution is, wherever God places me, my assignment is to make life a little better for you. And if everyone took that same approach, think about it. Everyone that you cross paths with, your assignment is to make life a little better for them. And if everyone that crossed paths with you, their assignment was to make everything a little better for you, then everybody's need would be fulfilled.
wow.
But we're so self absorbed that we miss the opportunity to truly be of assistance and to truly be who God has created us to be. But when you operate in the from the understanding that we're all here to be a represent, we're all the body of Christ. What part of the body? That is determined by your assignment. Some people are the hands, some people are the heart, some people are the ears, some whatever your part is, it's meant to help the entire body to function better. And we miss it.
That's good. I got a couple of thoughts, but I'm gonna get my thoughts together before I say I got a couple of thoughts because it caused me to think about a couple of things. One of them was I saw this somewhere and it was don't feed me if you have to tell everyone that you gave me the plate or you gave me the food.
Mm,
Like, and I think that's sometimes what happens when we talk about servitude.
mm.
Servitude doesn't make an announcement.
No, man.
Servitude is not something where you tell everyone, I blessed this person, I did this. Servitude is something that's done in secret because it's done out of obedience and it doesn't have to have a memo, it doesn't have to have a title to it, it doesn't have to have any of those things. And when we, to your point, serve people out of the need and not of the announcement, it shows up differently.
Can I share what this
Yes,
task in
yes,
person?
please do. Please do.
So I'm preparing for tonight. When you send the topic, I'm like, okay, God, give me what I'm supposed to. So I have never seen this woman before. I don't know who she is. I have, I don't know how they share screen. Can you see my screen?
Let me see. Let me see. Oh, hold on. I got it. I got it. Oh, well, wait a minute. I was supposed to hit the button. I see it. There we go. Okay.
Okay. Um, okay, I'm gonna try to play this. Ugh, I don't what? Okay, hold on. It's
Okay. I'm
okay.
gonna close that back out,
Yeah,
and
close that
then
out for a second, and then I'm gonna, cause I got to show you this.
please show this.
Cause I was sitting here like when God was talking about purpose, and when God was, your message today, and I was like, okay, God, Prepare me for what I need to do. Prepare
Okay.
me for what I need
Ready?
to say.
Is it?
It's
Let's
it's
go back.
it's coming up now. What? Okay, that's fine. Let's save this. My computer, honey, I need another computer. But when you're talking about everything has to be done in
Mm-hmm.
a decent way. Everything has to be done decently and in order. And when you start to understand this, oh, where is it? Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Hold
No,
on
you're
one
fine.
second. Let me find this woman.
Take your time and find it.
Because this right here, I was, oh,
So while we getting at you all, let
yeah.
someone know that we're here. We're on Facebook. We should be on Instagram as well. This is new for us too to be live on Instagram. Welcome Instagram family if you're there. We're also on YouTube. Let someone know that we're here so we can have this dialogue and discussion. And please put your questions, comments in the chat. We're so glad for you to join us here at Evolve and Elevate with Errica, and we're talking about redeeming the time. And right now, we're on the subject in this about servitude. So we want to.
Okay. Hold on.
You
I'm
ready?
almost there. Almost.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. Hold on. See, this is
We're
this is gonna
sharing
be good.
screen.
No, don't share yet. Hold on. I'm trying to. Oh, you know what? The enemy does not. Did she go away? Oh Lord. Hold on. No, wait a minute. The enemy does not want this. Okay.
Thank you, Lady Harrison, for sharing. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so, so very much for tagging all the people and sharing. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Miss Frida, Miss Catherine, we thank you so much for being here. We ready? I think I see it.
Okay, it's coming. It's okay. Okay, I hope it may not. It the speed is probably off. I don't know. Okay, maybe. Oh, okay. We you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put we're gonna put it on. Mm-mm. No, it's not gonna play right. Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll just I'll give the story
And
behind
we'll
it.
put the
So
link, in the
yeah,
chat so
yeah. Put
everybody
the
can
link.
go.
Put the link in the chat if you can put it in there. I
Can you
don't know if
send
you
it
can.
to me? Can you send it in the chat again? Because I think when it bumped me out earlier.
Okay, y'all just watch this Instagram post. But this woman, I don't know who she is. She's probably somebody that I've never heard of before, but she's probably somebody, but she goes out and she uses her gift of singing and she
Mm-hmm.
sings in like the New York. Her name is Denise Weeks. Have you heard of her?
Mm-mm.
Denise Weeks. Well, she goes out. The one clip that I'm attempting to show, girl, before I got on this call, I was bawling. And the reason that it was so touching is because of the purity of her assignment. Like, she was sitting there, test the spirit by the spirit, test the spirit by the spirit. I just put it on the 1212 wall where people are, and posted in other places. But God speaks to me through drunk people, homeless people, numbers, and words. And a homeless guy walked up to her. Literally, you can tell, like you just knew, like just you could feel it. He literally like just gave her. She said, "This is for me," and he gave her some money, and he just shook his
Wow.
head. And it was like he was giving her all that he had because
Oh,
she was ministering to him
mm,
so powerfully. And that for me was the purest demonstration of purpose. She's literally in the metro station. She's literally like using her gift wherever she is. And she doesn't do it like she could be she may be a recording artist. I've never heard of her before, but she could easily take this gift and pimp it, if you will, like a lot of people do,
mm,
to use the contract. Honey, yes, if everybody can watch it, if you can. I was just floored. The You could feel the spirit in her. Like you could feel like the way that that man connected to her and just like go through her feed.
mm,
The spirit of God is real when you are operating in your purpose.
mm.
And that is how you know it is real. There is no money anyone can pay you. There is no title anyone can give you. There is nothing that this world has that can compensate you for God's purpose in your life. Absolutely nothing.
That's powerful.
Absolutely nothing.
That's powerful. I'm a firm believer that when you are truly in alignment and you're doing what thus saith the Lord, you don't have to ask for anything.
Nope.
He brings it all to you because you're in divine. Because I have a friend. Her name is Jennifer Diller, and I quote it often. She says, "God's will, God's bill." When you're in God's will, He takes care of everything. Every need you have, every thought you could think of, He takes care of all of it. And you don't have to manufacture or put together anything to make it look like what it's supposed to be. Because when you're in divine alignment, it's going to be exactly what it is. And He redeems time for you in that place of obedience.
All the time. And I think that's how a lot of people miss it because we do not understand God's true provision. We do not understand provision. And this is why I'm a big proponent, I'm a huge teacher of provision because provision turns your focus away from money. Provision keeps you focused on God. Provision cannot be manipulated. Provision cannot be coerced. Provision is just what it is. It's providing you everything that you need as it relates to the task and the assignment.
And provision can include money, but it doesn't.
It
It's not
can. It's not all money. And see,
all
that's
money.
the thing. It's spirit, there's spiritual provision, mental provision, and physical provision. And so many people are just stuck on the physical provision that we miss out on all of the goodness that heaven has for us. I would say 90% of what heaven has for us is totally detached from money.
I believe.
Totally detached from money. And we miss it. We miss it all the time because we want power. We want to be able to show people, just how smart we are, how powerful we are, how well connected we are, and it's like, where's compassion?
Hmm.
Where's humility?
Hmm.
Where's love? Where we all have to be like, I truly believe that we all get to demonstrate different aspects. We're all different aspects of God's personality.
Hmm.
We're all different representations of who God really is. And when we're all trying to mimic each other and trying to be like the other, we're missing out on so many beautiful characteristics that we don't know about.
So I want to talk about two things real quick that you said something about mimicking. I had an opportunity to speak on a different platform Sunday, and we were talking about the woman at the well, and he wanted me to share my journey into ministry as a woman. And I shared some things with him in retrospect to myself, and understanding that my first conversation with God was, God, I don't want to be like anybody else but who you made me, because I don't hoop, I don't do all that screaming and hollering. I i need my own unique way of delivering what it is that you would have for me to do. But one of the things I found out in the broken version of myself
Mm,
and wanting to be accepted, you find yourself you find yourself in a place where you want to emulate the people that are admired, to
mm,
be accepted. And that's often what people do. Let me emulate this person. Let me take on their characteristics because I know you like that person. So if you see that characteristic in me, there's a good possibility that you're going to receive me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's how so many people miss the opportunity to be truly who God has created them to be. Like I said, I almost missed my opportunity to do this work in the 1212 community. I almost missed it, like royally missed it,
Mm-hmm.
because I was allowing someone to get into my ear to minimize my assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it sound like? Oh, you can a journaling community. Oh, you can get journals from anywhere. Oh, I can go to Walmart and get a journal. I can
None
make
right.
my own journal.
Mm-mm.
And it got me for maybe a good 24 hours. And then God spoke to me. God said anybody can journal, but not like you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all I needed to hear. I was like, okay, you can go out there, but where you not gonna get the 1212? You're not going to get always journal.
Mm-mm.
You're not going to get the revelation. You're not going to get what this is. And that's where so many people miss it, because the enemy is a duplicator and God is a creator. But sometimes you have to go deeper than what you think you see to get to the truth of who God needs you to be.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go deep. And most people do not want to go deep. And deep depth requires soul searching.
Oh, definitely. It requires truth. It requires transparency. It requires the ugly parts of you that you've tried to hide. It requires some of the stuff that we've tried to create coping mechanisms from because we don't want to deal with them. It requires all those things.
Mm-hmm. And when you are, and this is the most interesting part, and this is something that I had to learn over the years, and I am so grateful that God delivered me from this. But a lot of times people think that doing things like this in a spiritual way, like spirit first, God first, is the weak way to do things. Like you've got to, how can I put it? So many people don't realize the level of work that goes into spiritual fortification and spiritual maturation, that people gloss over the spiritual aspects of life and go for the real work, like go for the the world's version of success, goes for what looks acceptable. But when you really start to understand what purpose is, what God's purpose is, the only way you're going to find it is through spiritual maturation. And that's what most people don't want to do. You are not going to find your true purpose without spiritual maturation, without spiritual excavation. It just will not happen. And a lot of people are looking for their purpose separate from spiritual work.
You can't do it.
It won't happen. It won't. It's not something that you can go find. It's not something you have to go through the spiritual process to get to your purpose. You can't go sit under the Bodhi tree. You can't go, on a pilgrimage. You can't search for it. You have to go through it. You have to maneuver through it. And
Because
that's a whole nother ballpark.
it is, because it involves a process of pulling off all of the stuff that was layered on the other side of your journey,
Mm-hmm.
that we tend to allow it to become a part of us, be it your trauma, your situations, your circumstances. And you have to truly be, to get to your core, layers of all of that stuff has to come off, and you have to let it go and
Mm-hmm.
be honest to go through the journey. And it's not an easy one to do.
And the one of the most important parts, because the work, now this is funny, in the work, when the world gets a hold of something, watch out. When the world gets a hold of something, just watch out. So the world is into the whole mindfulness thing, and all of that stuff. To do the true work, it takes so much out of you that I believe that heaven sets it up so that by the time you break through, you're in too deep to go back. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many levels to getting to the door to even knock on it,
Mm-hmm.
that most people get halfway through and feel like they have accomplished something and haven't even scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a knowing. You know when you have connected with heaven. You
Yes.
know when, and this is how can I put it? It's not, you can't find your purpose from a cerebral perspective. Like, you can't find it by studying it. You can't find it by reading it. You can't find it by watching other people. It's something that is within you that has to be drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you connect to it, no one can disconnect you. Only you and God have to connect you, and you and God have to disconnect you.
Mm-hmm. I related to carrying a baby. I don't know
Amen.
how the baby is growing. I just know it has a heartbeat. I don't know what it looks like. I just know it's there. I can feel it when it's moving. I can feel it when it's growing. And when I wake up each day, it gets bigger and bigger. But I just know it's a life source that's there. And I have to nurture it. I have to take care of it. I have to make sure I keep myself in a particular place. And when you're in that seeking place, there are certain things that you can no longer deal with because your senses change. There's certain things that when you were expecting, certain food you couldn't eat, certain smells you couldn't handle, certain noises you couldn't deal with. And when you know you are carrying something of that great magnitude, you automatically start moving different because you know you have to take care of it. And when it's time for it to come forth, oh, there's definitely pain that's going to come with it. But you know you have no choice but to bring it forth because you can't do anything. It's either you end up, it's either a do or die situation. You have to bring it forth.
Mm-hmm. And see, the thing is that when you bring it forth, you have to continue to nurture it. You have to become a true steward of that assignment. And God doesn't allow for half hearted approaches to your purpose. You can do a half-hearted job as it relates to your day gig. You can half do things that you put yourself into. But when it comes to your purpose, heaven is not going to release the fullness of the assignment until you are truly committed to it. This is why so many people have half-baked um ideas, half baked assignments. You're so quick to pick up something else or toss this to the side or move, because that is how heaven tests you to see how committed you are to the work.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are so committed to the work, your assignment, it then takes on a life of its own. Your purpose grows inside of you. And then once your purpose is released, then it leads you.
Mm-hmm.
It guides you. It moves you through the process. So now I am no longer in charge of my purpose. My purpose is in charge of me.
Powerful. Say it again. Say it again.
I am not in charge of my purpose. My purpose is in charge of me.
My, that's good. That is so good. I want to take a quick shift, real quick, because was having a conversation today, and we were talking about also redeeming the time. So, and I immediately thought about Hezekiah. And when the man of God had come to him and said that he was going to die, he immediately turned his face to the wall. And before he could get out of the court, he came back and said, God has extended your life 15 more years. We don't know the day nor the hour when our time has come. And we should live our life every day as if it is our last. When we're talking about God redeeming the time. But when we get a situation like Hezekiah and he comes back and say, your date is in 10 years, how differently will we show up?
Mm.
How differently, if you knew your quote unquote unalive date, how differently would you show up and you will handle the things that God has put in your hands?
Mm-hmm. But see, some people at that point would be scrambling to figure out what God has put in their hands. At some point, you have to take responsibility for your relationship with God. So for someone being given an unalive date of 10 years and you have a steady walk with God, you're going to look at that differently as opposed to someone who doesn't have that relationship. It's like, what's the point? I might as well drink everything I want to drink. I might as well go do everything I want to do. So it's still relative to that relationship with God. So 10 years for someone in a God made progression is different than someone outside of a God made progression. And
Powerful.
you see that like people who, let's say people that are in the physical coming to the end of life. People who have done the work, who understand the power of forgiveness, who have lived life in a way such that, they've been compassionate, they've been graceful, they've been all of the things, and they know that their time is coming.
Mhm.
They spend their time giving words of wisdom to people, giving them advice as to how to live life the best way that you can, their lessons learned. People that are behind the eight ball, if you will, people that are, just like, oh my God, my time is up.
Mhm.
Well, I want to apologize to you for this. Remember that time I did that? I want you trying to get all your apologies in. You trying to make sure that everybody knows, we okay with that. I'm sorry about this. I got these skeletons in my closet. I do not want to spend the end of my days catching up or trying to catch up on all of the things that I should have been doing
Mhm.
the entire time.
Mhm.
So I don't want to waste a moment on things that God gives me to do on a daily basis. Forgive, forgive quickly, be compassionate, be loving. So at the end, your transition is a powerful one.
It is.
And it's
It
still
is.
bringing value. Even in your transition, you have purpose.
Yes. 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 You do. You do. When I think of my transformation and getting in alignment and getting going through the process of healing and getting all the junk out and God doing all of what he needed to do, it makes you do those things up front because it's a part of the process. It's a part of the process to go back to the person and ask for forgiveness, to go back and clean up some of the stuff that you left that was messy, so that you can, as he's redeeming the time for you, you don't have to go back and try to fix all those other things, because that's also a part of the entire process of getting prepared to do all the things that he's called you to do.
I don't know if you were on last night's call, but I was watching this documentary. After I heard this, I just turned the whole documentary off. I don't even know what the documentary is about. And I had to search and find out where the quote came from, but I think it's from Alcoholics Anonymous.
Uh,
But it says, the quote, I'm paraphrasing, I may be getting it wrong, but you'll get the gist of it. You are only as sick as your deepest secret.
I need to write that down.
Girl, girl, I turned that thing. I just sat. I was sitting right there on the couch, like, oh my God. You are only for I don't know who out here. I don't know if anybody's been to Alcoholics Anonymous. Y'all can confirm this or whatever. I think that's where it originated. I don't know. Wherever it originated, honey, the truth in that thing, you are only as
Sick
sick
as
as
your
your
deepest.
deepest, like, secret, your deepest sin. Like, and I started,
I done told all mine.
girl, I ain't got no skeletons in my closet. I'm like,
Mhm.
honey, I tell it all. I tell it all.
I told it all.
And that is one of the ways. Before I understood that, but at such a deeper level when that was stated. But the reason that I started to, like, share my story, like, get all of my skeletons out of the closet, because it felt so good.
Mhm.
It felt so good.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was like, oh my goodness.
Mhm.
But I was just like, I'd never heard that before. It was just, let's see, somebody said Rick Warren had said, okay, I don't, when I was researching it, I heard that it was from, I saw that it was from, like, Alcoholics, and not, maybe he was in Alcoholics. I don't know. But anyway, wherever it came from, that thing is deep.
Yeah. The comfort of having a clear conscience.
Oh my God. Now, honey, that redeems the time. That redeems the time. A clear conscience redeems the time, because you're not worried about anybody finding anything out. You're not worried about anybody uncovering anything. You don't have to keep your head on a swivel. Your pressure, your blood pressure. Like when you live in a lie, honey, your pressure, your heart is
Mhm.
racing. You're sweating. You're
Mhm.
nervous.
You know, it was Jesus that said it. He said, I think, is in the book of John. I want to be correct.
Hmm.
It's in John 14:30. He says, I will no more speak much with you, for the prince of the world cometh, and he have nothing in me. And it's the thing, and I understand what he was saying in context there, but it was just the mere fact that he said, when the enemy tries to come, he can't attach himself to me because there's nothing in me that's like him at all. So whatever he tries to come to accuse me of, there is nothing that can be said because there's nothing in me.
That right there, honey, when you start to do the cleansing and the purging, and heaven really starts to do a mighty work in you, and I am a living witness to this. How many the spiritual attacks, the dreams, the sleep paralysis, the spirit, it was insane
Mm-hmm.
because the enemy knows when its time is running thin, because the enemy has to get you while the enemy knows that you are available.
Correct.
Once you start to do all of your cleansing and your purging and confessing your sins one to another, and you are clearing the air and you are becoming lighter, like you become, what's one of the say, like become light as a feather.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy can't do nothing with that. That's why the enemy tries so hard to keep you in turmoil and to keep you stuck. Because once you are free indeed.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You are free. Think about it, everything that was keeping you bound was a compilation
Mm-hmm.
of generational things, your
Yes.
own things, societal things. And when you wake up to Christ, when you wake up to the truth of who God has created you to be, and you start to see things for what they really are, and you start to operate in a way that releases you, the enemy can't do a thing with that.
Nothing.
And then the enemy will try to, and this is why we have to make sure that we do what we need to do as it relates to our families, as it relates to a lot of the things, like we're carrying our generational sins. Like we're carrying things that are maybe our mother didn't confess, things that our father didn't confess, things that our grandparents didn't confess. The enemy loves a secret.
Oh, yes. All the time.
And if those secrets are compounded and you don't do the work to start to remove those layers, honey, it's a field day for the
Mm-hmm.
enemy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's our job to make it easier for God than easier for the enemy. Like you want to make your life easy for heaven to bless you. You want to make it easy for God to communicate with you. You want to make it easy for heaven to walk with you daily. But we
Mm-hmm.
make it so easy for the enemy that the enemy, C.S. Lewis demonstrated that so powerfully in the Screw Tape Letter. I love C.S. Lewis's work, but like the Screw Tape Letters, that thing was so funny to me. It's like the enemy literally sits there and watches us do dirty work for him, for the enemy.
All the time.
All the time, because the enemy is not omniscient, not omnipresent. So the enemy's resources are very limited. So if the enemy is bothering you, then that means you are a formidable opponent. And that means that heaven has its light on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the enemy just ain't messing with just any old body. The enemy is very selective in the resources. And a lot of times we confuse our own missteps with that of the enemy. The enemy is not attacking you and your dirty dishes in the sink. Just go wash the dishes. The enemy ain't messing up your house. Like, go clean your house. Like, the enemy is very strategic in the approach. But we give the enemy so much power.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk to that person because, or in well, we talked about it earlier, in the unforgiveness, in the holding grudges, in the when we're asked to do something, we withhold information. It's in all the little small things. Gatekeeping is a big one. We hold these things, and the nudge that God gives you. I remember I was going through another one processes with the Lord. He said, I need you to be in such a place that when I tell you to do something, you don't consider anyone when I tell you to do it. And I said, what you mean? He said, you got too many different layers. You got too many other things that's in between my word and your level
Mm,
of obedience.
my God.
I need you to move all the middlemen out the middle of what's going on. So let's deal with it layer by layer so that when I tell you, this is how you can be radically obedient so that I can redeem the time for you. We've got to get rid of all the middlemen out of there. And now a lot of that has to do with, well, God, I want to do it, but what if they might, who is they? Nobody can ever figure out who they
I
is.
know they.
The days, you know, I heard, I think, and we will think ourselves to a place of disobedience and miss the mark again. And God is saying, I'm trying to speed the course up for you. But in order to do that, you've got to let go of all these layers of perception, self perception. Take yourself out of self preservation mode. Lean into me, trust me, and do what I have asked you to do. And you will see everything begin to come together.
Amen. And well, that's the journal we're doing right now. Impatience. Being impatient with God's timetable. God is the creator of time. God is not bound by time. And once we begin to operate in understanding our purpose and the fact that our purpose will redeem the time, we're no longer on the clock. No longer on the clock. I don't even look at the only time, like, I look at a clock because I know I'm supposed to be online for my day gig at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I flow in the way that the Spirit has me to move.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you bind yourself with man's time, then you're constantly going to be playing beat the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And you're actually wasting more time when you are looking at, oh, I've only got 10 minutes. I've only got 10 minutes to finish this.
Mm-hmm.
And now your creativity, everywhere that God wants to get in, you've blocked it, because what if it's going to take you 11 minutes?
Correct.
What if it's going to take you 12 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
And when you learn to take yourself off the clock and you allow heaven to control all of your time, you have more time than you ever imagined.
That in itself is an adventure.
That really is.
When you really release yourself into the hands of God in all things, especially with the time,
Mm-hmm.
that in itself is an adventure. I have found myself sometimes when I would be so gassed up about stuff, thinking I didn't have time to do it. But when
It
I
takes
release,
15 minutes.
yeah, but when I release and let it go, it was just like it would you oh when you truly open yourself up to the creativity of God,
My God.
it's you're looking at it like how in the world what was it's a true masterpiece. And you know it was none of you. You're just the vessel that
Mm,
God is saying, I'm gonna push this through you because you're available for
mm.
me to do it.
I share this story quite a bit, but this was years ago. And we were trying to get some help for our son. And the program that we needed to get him in, everybody kept saying, this is not going to work because it takes 2.5 years. What takes man 2.5 years? It took God 2.5 months.
I love it.
2.5 months. This is not something, this is well documented. And this is why I love God so much, because God is so bold and so big and so bad. God will say, I will give you the documentation
Come on now. Yes, he will.
to show you how good I am.
Yes, he'll do it all the time.
2.5 months.
I'm
Don't
gonna have
tell
to
me what
go
God
back
can't
and
do.
find because you gave that story last season. I'm gonna go back and find it from last season. I'm gonna find the clip so you can get the she got the receipts. So you can have the documentation. So that was a powerful testimony. Powerful testimony.
You can't make it up. You can't
Yes.
make it up. And your purpose. Before we close tonight, I want everyone to understand they have a purpose. Everyone has a purpose. If you are here on this planet breathing, you have a purpose. The problem is that your purpose looks like nothing you've seen
Before.
before.
Mhm.
And you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
You have to get comfortable with not having everything that you do it to for God. It doesn't matter if it's one person or 1,000 people. You do it the same way. And this is where a lot of people miss. There's a proving process in the beginning of the work. There's the woman at the well
Mhm.
when Jesus was talking to her about the person she was living with, or the
Mhm.
whatever. That was part of the process where God was giving her an opportunity to prove herself to be truthful.
Mhm.
She had an opportunity. She could have been like, yeah, that's my husband. That's my, the man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that, heaven gives you the opportunity as it relates to your assignment to prove yourself worthy of the next step.
Come on.
We
Woo!
disqualify ourselves. God doesn't disqualify us. We disqualify ourselves from the true, meaningful, purposeful assignment when we try to treat our assignment like we treat aspects of the world.
Come
You
on.
can fool your boss. How many times this is on the Facebook, but this ain't this boss. This is old bosses, not the boss I have now, because I work from home now. But late for work. It was a deer. It was a deer on the highway. It was really, leash, really on Route 50. Yeah, the deer and the mama just blocked the whole line. But I still get to keep working. I still keep, I'm able to do just so long you produce. But see, God is not like man.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
We disqualify ourselves so much because our words have little power. We lie too much. Got one of my qualifiers for my assignment. God said you got to get your lie quotient down to 0. My lie quotient, Michael look at me, he be like, you got to tell everything. Yes, I do. I do personally. You
Yes.
may not,
Yes.
you may not have to, but I do.
And
My assignment requires that I operate in spirit and truth.
yes.
What your assignment requires is different, but you have to be in such alignment with God that you know that what works for you may not work for someone else, and that's okay.
Mm-mm. I can't risk it.
I can't. I
I
cannot.
can't risk it.
I can't. You told them that. I sure did.
Sure
And
did.
I'll tell them the rest. They got more questions. I'm going to answer them.
All the stuff I did for God to keep me alive to get to this place, I can't risk it. Because I know I can count all the time and then some. I'm supposed to be gone. I can't risk it. His grace and mercy has been too good for me to turn around and sabotage it again because I don't want to tell the truth.
Mm-mm.
Tell it all, shame the devil and his mama. I'm telling it.
Mm-hmm. And it's like if somebody asks me something, let's say hypothetically, there's a Monday night that comes up. And it's like, Lisha, you gonna be on the night? Nah, girl, I'm sleepy. I gotta go to bed. Okay, cool. I ain't gonna be lying. Well, my water heater went out and everything. I'll be like, Errica, I can't. I'm tired. I got a headache. I can't do this. And that's it. I can sleep good. I can rest well. There's no hard feelings between us. We pick it back up on the next Monday.
Mhm,
But you got to understand that you got to test the spirit by the spirit.
mhm.
And you know, if you're operating in spirit and truth, you know the truth. You know when somebody is out of alignment. You know. But so many people make allowances for people's indiscretions that says more about you than them.
That's the truth. All day long.
So you got to be, this is why I am so grateful. Like this phase of my life, I am surrounded with like pure angels. Like seriously, I am so happy and so grateful that God did that complete work in my life. I don't have to watch my back. I don't have to wonder if people are talking about. I don't even care really, but that sense of peace that comes that when you are surrounded by other people that are working in their purpose, you don't
Mhm.
have to worry about competition. You don't have to worry about people backstabbing you. You don't have to worry about all of the traditional things that come with traditional work. Your
Correct.
purpose is your purpose. That's it. That's all. I can support you with your purpose and your assignment because it's yours.
Mhm.
I can say, oh yeah, I like Evolve and Elevate with Errica. I'm gonna do an Evolve and Elevate with AJ or Alicia. I'm gonna do that one. It won't be the same. What is for you is for you.
Mhm.
Girl. But okay, let me say this before. I know we over time. But don't get it twisted. This is where a lot of people miss it. Don't be so arrogant in thinking that the assignment stops with you. If you do not get into alignment, if you are not operating in integrity and spirit and truth, honey, God can use whomever, however, and whenever. God can make the rocks cry out. So don't think that just because you're not doing it, it won't get done. My community is called a 12-12 community. If Alicia Johnson had decided not to do it, honey, it would be a 14-14 community. It'll be a 21-21 community. You know what I'm saying?
He's gonna do it. It's gonna get done. It's gonna get done. then the Lord said, "You know that was supposed to be you."
How you
I,
feel?
s-
You okay?
I was out. My feelings was all type of hurt. Not only did I repent and cry and look crazy, I said, "God, for real?" He said, "Yeah, that was supposed to be you." But I'm gonna tell you why. Because you spent too much time worrying about what somebody else was gonna say. He said, "I told you to do this, but I gave it to somebody else."
My God. And you can't
I
even be
said,
mad at him. And you can't
I
even
said,
be
I
mad.
can't because I did it. I know when I did it. And I said, never again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Never again. God, I said,
Mm-hmm.
God, God, if it be your will and you allow me to do it, I promise. And here I am today. Hello. Welcome. Welcome.
Oh God. I love it. I love it. Oh
So
my God.
I'm in my redemption.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a living witness. I'm in my time of redemption.
And it's beautiful. Like when you're walking and you know that you're doing what God tells you to do, and God sends you those confirmations. Like you've been doing the challenges enough to. I think you were on that forgiveness, like the one of the
Mhm.
earlier forgiveness calls, and we were at forgiving your parents. And I'm sitting in my mama's kitchen in Columbus, Georgia, getting ready to go visit my dad because we had some forgiveness work. But how was I supposed to know that back then, when God had me to put this together, that I would be sitting right there at that appointed time? You can't make that stuff up.
You can't. And it's a constant work.
Constant.
At every level, it's a constant work. And the reward of going through the entire process, he redeems us at each and every level.
My God. Mm. Girl,
Well,
I'm
y'all, we're
excited.
over time. I hate to end it. The conversation is always so wonderful. I hate to end it, but we are over
We'll
our
be back.
time tonight. We'll be back next week. I hope it was as good for you as it was for us.
And
Thank
y'all
you so
watch that
much.
video. Watch that
Watch the
video.
video.
Watch that video.
Watch the
Watch that
video.
video.
We'll make sure we put the link in the comments. Please make sure you go to Evolve and Elevate with Erica on YouTube and please subscribe. Tell everyone that we're here Monday nights at 8. And we thank you so much for being here. As always, Alicia, I love you so much. This was just an amazing conversation. You all take care.